So this is going to be some examples of skill checks, and it's primarily for my players. But anyone else that wants to benefit from this, then hey, go ahead, feel free. So we're going to be looking at a guy called Mac, who is basically overslept on his colony base, and wonders why all the power is off. And his alarm didn't wake him up, and it's all dark there. And he tries to come out of his room, and the door is sort of sealed shut. So he decides to try and pull it open, operate the controls with one hand, but also try and pull it open with the other. And then once he's pulled it open enough to release enough of the lock on the one control, he stretches with his very fingertips and just pushes the button over on the other side and reaches his hand into the console bit that he's just pulled out. Bit of a technician type as he is, curls his finger in and just kind of touches the thing, and then quickly runs over and grabs the door with the second hand and begins to pull on it. So maybe we'll have him do like a heavy machinery roll. So that's a strength skill. Maybe we'll call from him. So we take his stats. So he's strength 5. So we've got that. And because he's got 1 in the heavy machinery, we'll give him an additional die. So that's super. And the fact that the lights are off is not great, and that he's trapped in his room. So we're actually going to give him a stress point as well, just because it's starting, man. So so he's already got 1 of those dice as well. Now remember, this stress dice, if it comes up. If any of these dice come up with 6s, then that is a successful skill test. But if this one comes up with a 1, then well, you're in some trouble. So he needs to get this door open. This is like a super big priority. Okay, let's see. So he does get the door open. We have a 6 there, and we have a 1, but it's not on the stress dice, so we're good to go. That is not a 1, so we can keep going. If he wanted more successes than the 1, for whatever given reason, say it was combat and you really wanted to attempt to do more damage, you could attempt to try and push this roll. You'd gain 1 stress doing it. But hey, so he manages to pull the door open, and he gets out in the corridor and he looks left and right, and there's no one around, and all the other doors in the hab block, they're all open, and all of the rooms are abandoned, and Mac is wondering, what the hell is happening. So he wanders down the passage, and was that a sound behind him? He looks, and there's nothing there, and all he sees is maybe a vent in the ceiling, and it starts steaming, and he wonders what. Okay, that's Okay, so I need to try and get out of the door at the end. So he swipes his ID card, and it just gives the family fortunes kind of noise, and he can't get out. So Mac decides, well, I'm going to try and get onto the console and see if we can do it that way, because this. So he starts kind of typing the commands into the console. Starts trying to query through his ID number, because the door will not open. He's not going to be able to force this one open, so he's going to need a Comtech roll, and Comtech is applied to his wits stat. Remember, there's 4 stats, each with 3 skills attributed to them. So Comtech is one of the 3 wits skills. With that in mind, we take his wits ability, his attribute of 3, and he checks to see if he's got Comtech, and he doesn't. He also adds his current stress to it, which is 1. And if he had any items that helped him with doing that, he could add extra black dice for each of those as well. So he's going to try and get into the system and query what the hell is happening, see if there's a way to actually get the thing open. Well, no 6s. So he fails to get that information. It looks like it's basically locking him out. He has been disapproved of his status that's connected to his ID. It's been revoked. So Mac here, he has to get out. He's starting to, really worry about this. So he's going to push this roll. So he's going to gain a stress in doing so. Which means you get to re-roll all the ones that are not successes. In Mutant, you wouldn't be able to re-roll ones or sixes. Ones would damage a stat. Here, you don't damage stats. That doesn't happen. So he gains an extra stress die for the re-roll of all the non-successes, i.e. all of them. And basically that extra stress from pushing the roll is applied immediately to this roll. Okay. So basically, he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to try a backdoor thing. Let's see if I can try and hack in as my buddy. Because I think I know his password. Yeah, it's really not happening here for Mac. The door is not opening for Mac. But then he looks around and he sees the observation camera is watching him. So as he's attempted to do this, it looks like maybe he's being watched. It moves and tracks him as he moves to the other side of the door, and he kind of just stares at it. And then suddenly he hears and the door goes from a red light to a green light, and he tentatively heads towards the door and, pulls it open. But does he realize the thing that was moving around behind him is moving ever closer? Well, it's moving closer. And he should, I think, do an observation roll to see if he maybe can hear it, that it's stalking up upon him. On the ceiling, perhaps. Poor Mac. Poor Mac. And his observation stat is likewise connected to wits. So we know that his wits was 3. So we get the old 3 dice out. And observation, he has nothing in either. And he's got his 2 stress now to worry about. So he gets to rock these. So, and this is versus possibly observing anything that might be closing in on him. Now, this is an opposed roll. So the GM has secretly rolled this, and there's, any amount of given successes. So Mac here, no bad stress situations, but he's rolled 1 success. Now, does he want to try and pit that up against the GM's unknown amount of successes, or indeed all failures? Well, he doesn't want to be gaining too much stress. So, I guess he's going to leave it at that. He's about to head through the door. And as he goes to walk through the door, some shadowy, sinewy figure deposits itself from the ceiling behind him, and it comes in to attack. Now, it has this free attack against him before Mac even gets to roll for initiative. Now, we'll say that this thing has just done an almighty 6 damage to Mac. Wow. And the thing about this kind of damage is that it can't be blocked. Regular damage, you'd have a chance of blocking it. But a sneak attack can't be blocked. So, 6 damage has come in at Mac. What's he going to do? Well, let's just say, for the purposes, he had the sense to sling his padded jacket on. It's fairly light, but let's say it's got 2 armor on it. So he's got 6 damage to worry about. So he can try and negate some of that with this armor roll. So, and he's negated none of that. So, but indeed, what I'm actually even forgetting is the very fact that he's just been attacked by this thing. And before it would even have the chance of maybe killing him in one shot, because he's only got health 5, that we can see as the stat, he would actually have to take a panic check. Now, this panic check, it's because he's been attacked by an alien creature. He's a monster that he's never encountered before. That's an immediate panic check. So actually, before he even gets to maybe die, we roll this d6 and we add his stress to it, which comes to 5. And anything 1 to 6 as a result, he's doing fine. He's okay. And no, he's just shaken but not stirred. But yeah, this thing is basically, it's grabbed him and it's pulled his head right out of his neck socket. It's dislocated his head upwards out. But oh, wait, shock, horror. And this was maybe even hidden from Mac. He doesn't bleed red. He bleeds white. And instead the head is hanging lopsided over to one side, with wires trailing up and round and over from this mysterious assailant attacking him. And he has more health than that. With synthetics being that much higher in stats than people. Of course, the real rules are that synthetics can't push rolls and so forth and so forth. But for the sake of when you're trying to hide a synthetic from a group, for example, like I was hiding the synthetic from you, the audience, you can have them behave as if a player character until forcibly revealed as being a synthetic. And then we would normally get to roll on a critical table, which would be a D66 roll. And that would basically be the thing that happens to you. But, of course, being a synthetic, they have their own table that you get to roll on. Smart. So, the synthetics table is a simple D6. But, of course, it wasn't a crit yet, so I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing even trying to do that. Stop it, Rob, stop it. Getting myself turned around. But yeah, the crit table would have been that, and he would have been, potentially bleeding out, potentially dying. He would have been broken had he been a human. He would have not been outright dead necessarily, but as good as what would have happened in the next turn. Basically, when you're 0 HP, you are you're broken. Your stat is broken, and you roll for a critical injury, and that may well be fatal, or it may have a time limit on it before it becomes fatal, and before you can get healed. And you can automatically try and sort of recover 1 health point or get healed in that sense, but it doesn't heal the potential of the critical injury that could be about to kill you. So you need to get that healed somehow. So yeah, he's a synthetic. So maybe he's going to get to attack this thing back. And we draw the initiative cards and he gets to go first. Way hey, Mac. Way hey. Yeah. So he just got attacked. So we'll give him a stress for having taken damage as well, because that's cool. And so he's now got that. So he's going to melee back. So we'll give him more health, but we'll still give him the stat of 5 because I can't be bothered to look it all up right now. So, strength of 5. We'll say he's using something like a cutting tool that doesn't have a bonus on it. If you have a weapon with a bonus on it, it would add its bonus amount of extra dice. Okay. And he's got close combat score of 3. So we'll chuck those on. And he's got stress of 3 now. So we chuck those on. So this roll he's doing really well for. I'm only one-handed here. So we need 6s. Let's see them 6s. Well, there's a few things here to comment on. So there was a 6 there. And there's a 6 there. But those 2 successes mean nothing, because one of the stress dice has come up with a 1. And there's a reason that it's got a face hugger on it. Because it means panic. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that a synthetic's going to panic. Having not, been fully read up on the synthetic rules myself, which you'd think maybe I could have done that before doing this. Skills and stress. Androids can't push any rolls. They don't suffer stress. They don't have a stress level, and they never make panic rolls. Well, for the purposes of this example, I kind of need to be showing you all of that. So now let's suggest that Mac here is going to get to behave like a human, and show you what a human would do at this point, okay? Theoretically. So we've rolled a 1 on that. He's going to be freaking out, and he's going to do a panic roll. So stress and panic. Let's do this again. We rolled a 6. We add the current stress to it. That's a 9 result. So he's freaking out. He's going to drop his cutting torch, if he wasn't a droid. Whether by stress or confusion or whatever it is. From swinging it wildly and basically it hitting the wall where the thing doesn't seem to be there anymore. It's moved so fast, and he's freaking out. And the stress level also increases by 1. So you can see this is a deadly game we're playing, because this stress can go up to like 15 plus on the chart here. So he's still alive and swinging, but basically because we had that 1, he does the panic freak out instead, and it didn't hit. So he's the synthetic that's actually now behaving like a human. So yeah, mad as that is, go with it, because we're showing the example here of the mechanics. So that attack, it missed, I'm afraid. And of course the next one's probably going to kill poor Mac, isn't it? Let's be honest, Android or not. So there we go, a quick example of some skills. And that's basically all you're doing. You're looking at your stat, you're looking at the skill, you're looking at any bonus, and you're looking at the stress, and you're rolling the dice. And you're looking for 6s. There it is in its most basic form, how the game works and how the stress and panic thing kind of tie into it. And you've had a little glimpse of how that would sort of work or not work with synthetics too. I'll see you at the next one.